Friday forecast started off really nice today. Didn't you think, Otis? And it started getting cloudy. It's been raining on and off here, so I got home and like, what do we do in the rain? Chores and some laundry. And the self-care part of today's forecast, I'm taking you back a bit to the post that I did about putting things in containers. Do you want to get down? Do you want to get down? Can I put you down? Can I put you down? Come here. This is what happens when you have 3 dogs. So today is all about opening containers. And I'm opening a container, and I'm going to share with you a story of one of the containers that I've opened. And that's the cancer container. About 6 months ago, I was having issues with female stuff. And I went to the doctor, and an ultrasound happened, and it was okay, you know, here's where your egg came out, and then here's this little thing. We're not concerned, and we'll check it in 6 months. And I wasn't okay in that moment with just that. And so I went on to get an MRI, and that came back as suspiciously malignant. And so I had surgery, and I had my fallopian tubes and ovaries removed. They were still not concerned. You know, it was like, this is probably fine. We're not worried kind of thing. I came out of that surgery, you know, was obviously put to sleep and told that we sent it away to pathology. That is just procedure, but we're really not concerned, you know? So fast forward to about a week or so after, and I'm driving home from work, and I get the phone call, and I see my doctor's name, and I have my earbuds in, so I'm safe to answer. And I jokingly just said, you know, hi, here I am, just driving along, you know, no fallopian tubes and ovaries, what's up? And he said, kiddo, good for you for being an advocate for your own body and for knowing your body and being persistent. And then there was like this dreaded silence. And then there was the dreaded words. It's cancer. I started seeing spots immediately, which I've never fainted in my life, but I would say that I was close. I don't know that for a fact, but I was seeing spots. I immediately said, am I gonna die? Because I go to that, because it indeed was ovarian cancer, if I didn't say that. And as a woman, when you hear ovarian cancer, you pretty much think death sentence. And I said, oh my gosh, am I gonna die? And he said, oh gosh, no, you're not gonna die. And so I pulled off to the side of the road where I'm safe, because I'm in no, you know, my cortisol is crazy. I'm seeing spots. I'm trying to process what is being said to me on the phone. And he said, you have caught this at a stage that no one catches it. It's like 1A. And I'm sure that that's not medically, but it was really, really early. And so he said, I'm gonna hook you up with an oncologist at the clinic. I love the clinic, by the way. I love my doctor and the oncologist who did the second surgery. So there was an urgency to get this done with me. So I literally had surgery number 2. I had 2 surgeries within 6 weeks. And they don't like to do that. It's hard on the body. Anesthesia is really hard on the body. But in my case, they had to. And now I'm with the oncologist who's taking out my uterus, and surgery number 2. And it was really scary. And I remember, being wheeled away, for all of you that have had surgery, that moment of just getting wheeled away from your family. Like, you want to talk about like an emotional roller coaster. It's just, it is. And I'll never forget one of the gentlemen that was, at my head, wheeling me to the operating room. And my daughter was going to be leaving for school soon, and I remember saying, please just promise me I'm going to wake up so that I can take her to school. And he was like an angel, So, I'm sorry, the surgery happens, and now I'm talking to the oncologist the next day, post-surgery, of, what's next, or as far as what's next is the pathology, of course. And that came back, let me just tell you now, cancer gone. It did not spread. Like, thank you God. It did not spread. And I said, the post-surgery conversation was just, I was in a lot of pain, and I was really restricted as to what I could and could not do. So we had that whole conversation, and then he called me with the great news of it did not spread. And I said, so now what? And he said, we're just going to have really boring visits. This is the oncologist. Every 6 months, in which I will, do a blood test. And then in a couple weeks after that, because it takes them a while to analyze this, because it's specific proteins that they're looking for, we will just check it and make sure and carry on. And it's just going to be really boring, because you're going to be great. And of course I'm scared. The container's open. But I didn't think I would be able to get through the first, the second surgery, and here I am standing right in front of you, cancer-free. And of course I asked, what if these blood tests come back and there's something that shows up? And they said, we'll fix it. So the container's opened. I'm at the point where I'm at the 6-month post-surgery, my first post-surgery cancer gone checkup. And so I'm going to get my blood work next week, and then I will be having an appointment with my oncologist. So stay tuned.